Hi, this is Diana Bauman from My Humble Kitchen, and I'm so excited to bring to you the new edition of Our Living Homeschool Charlotte Mason Homeschool Planner. Now, this planner is for the 2019 to 2020 academic school year, and it's inspired by the writings of John Muir. So, this past year, I've had the privilege of just reading a lot of his work. In our history studies, he coincided with the time right during and after the Civil War. So our kids got to learn a lot about John Muir, and I was so inspired that I ended up reading some of his books and some of his work, and just kind of fell in love with just his writing and just the way he describes and just so much of his prose, which just really sounds like poetry. And so I really wanted to bring that to you guys and inspire you maybe to read a little bit more about John Muir and maybe even visit Yosemite like my heart just really wants to do now, and to follow his trails. And anyways, I could go on about that, but that's just what's so great about a living education is as parents, as mothers, we get to learn alongside our children. So I was so excited to put that into this planner this year, and hopefully that you would be inspired too. So this what you're seeing right now, well, what I plan on doing is to just really go through all of the different components of this planner to show you how to update it and how to customize it for your own family. What you'll need to make sure to do, and is what I always encourage everyone, is to make sure that you download the latest version of Adobe Reader. It's free. You can find it on the internet by just, Google Adobe Acrobat Reader. You don't need the full version of Acrobat, which does cost money. You just need the free reader, and that's going to allow you to update all the editable regions that you'll want to do. So let's just go ahead and start, and I'll get to just show you all these different components. So what you're looking at right now is the home page, and it has just a really sweet quote that John Muir had written in his book I have read. And so it says, I said, never mind, the mountains are calling. Run away and let plans and parties and dragging lowland duties all gang topsail-teary will go up a canyon singing your own song. So I thought that was just sweet to just kind of start the year, and especially as we're coming into the new school year, it'll be fall, and so I just love the different forest and wood elements. So that would be the homepage. Now after that, you'll find, just like all of the previous planners that I do, I have the academic year at a glance. So this is, again, it starts in July of 2019. It'll end in June 2020. Now, this is what the blank version looks like. As you can see, we have a color key down below. So like I did last year's video, which I think was helpful for people, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the academic year at a glance that I used last year. So this will give you an idea how to use this to kind of map out your school year and allow you to make the appropriate, adjustments. Now, for this year, I did work on a Sabbath schedule, so I did the 6 weeks on, 1 week off, 6 weeks on, 1 week off. So in order to do that, I do start early August, and that usually allows us to do that. But if you kind of look at what's going on here, I break my year up into terms. So you can look at the color key down below. Term 1 is pink, term 2 is purple, and term 3 is orange. I have my holidays, and those are in orange. So I have like little squared orange. Now you guys can do whatever you want as far as your color key goes, but this is just what I did. Field trips I had highlighted in blue. My rest and planning weeks, those are our Sabbath weeks, so those are in purple, and so you'll see just those purple sections. I did have some teacher development, and those are for like local conferences and things like that I like to go to. And then I did over here just kind of put some dates that I can remember, but this just should give you an idea of kind of how to map out your year to make sure that you a full 3 terms, 12 weeks each, to kind of make sure you're doing that. So anyways, that's what the year at a glance looks like for this year. So, of course, it has that whole theme of the kind of woodsy, foresty, John Muir inspired, what I'm calling it. This year, I like to include wall art. This year, you're going to find a quote that just really touched my heart. I am a part of a local Charlotte Mason book club, and as we were reading through volume 1 this year, this is just like really close up into the introduction, but it just really made me realize just how important our jobs are as homeschooling moms that are with their kids all day long. And so I was just so taken with this quote that I just wanted to share it with all of you. So this says, "This is why we hear so frequently of great men who have had good mothers. That is, mothers who brought up their children themselves and did not make over their gravest duty to indifferent persons." That just touched me to read just that word gravest, and just what a responsibility this is. And I loved that in that same section of Charlotte Mason in volume 1, right before this, I think, I wanted to bring it up for you guys because I was really touched by that too. Let's see. These are my 3 kiddos. But here I shared a little bit about it on Instagram. If you don't follow me, it's my.humble.kitchen. But here it is, volume 1, page 11. "But he is much more." So this speaking about our children. "A being belonging to an altogether higher estate than ours, as it were a prince committed to the fostering of peasants." And it's just truly remembering that these are children of the Lord and that it is our gravest duty to bring them up in his ways. And so I was just so completely taken with that I would just wanted to bring it to you and share it in the planner this year. So you can print these off, and if you just trim the sides and the bottom a little bit, they should fit right into an 8x10, or you could just put it into your planner just to kind of remind you of just what a sweet blessing it is that we get to educate our children at home. So after that is our attendance calendar, and this is pretty much self-explanatory. It just has, every day of the week, and you just want to mark off. And I don't have this as a printable with editable regions just because it's so much easier to just print it out, put it in your planner, and day by day just check off the days that you do school. Now, I like to do this because I like to just make sure that we fulfill our requirements for the state. And so here in Iowa, we need to have 148 days of school done by the end of the year. And so this just allows me to track that, total it up, and make sure that we hit that requirement every year. So I like this just for my personal records. And yeah, it's that simple. So then I also included another wall art. And this is one from John Muir. And it's, "Oh, these vast, calm, measureless mountain days, days in whose light everything seems equally divine, opening 1,000 windows to show us God." I loved that so much. What I really admired about John Muir was his deep faith. So even though he was out and researching and bringing about all of these new scientific discoveries, especially in nature, everything was always brought back to glorify God and who he is. So yeah, that's why I just really thought John Muir was just super, super cool. So anyways, you can print this off too and hang that up. So now this year, I've done some different book lists for you. And I did that just because I realized I needed these separate book lists. And so I just feel every year as, we do this method of education, I get to adjust the different components of this planner to really suit what we're doing. So this first one is just book lists by subject. If you want to just track, all of your history books, all of your science books, all of your geography books, things like that. This is just a planner to do that. Now, as you can see, all of these different blue areas, it means it's editable. So you get to click right in there and, title. I'm just going to put anything. Hawaii, author, Diana. Now what I did this year is you can tell it's going to start at a 12-point font, but as you go on, Diana Maria Bauman. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue clicking. is the author of this book. So you can see it's going to adjust that typeface so that it fits in that area. So, obviously in this author, it's never going to go this small, but it just gives you an idea that whatever you type in here is going to adjust so that it will print off. So I thought that was really cool that I was able to add that in this year. And then you can just click if you want to buy, if you need to buy it, if you need to check it out, or if you own it. Okay, and then here you'll just put your student name, okay, so everything is pretty much set up for you. So, and then here, I didn't think that you didn't need to really put in any title areas of your own. So that's what the book list by subject and the master book list. If you want a master book list of just everything that you have for the year, you can do that. Now, I have all of these different components. You do not need to use them all. And I just want to let you know, I don't use them all. But we're all different. Some people want them, some people don't. And so I have them here to just kind of accommodate a lot of different peoples. But don't feel that you have to, do the book list by subject, the master book list. Just pick out what you want, what you need. I mean, sometimes you're, like I follow the Delectable Education consult plans, and so they give me a book list. So I honestly don't even use these 2 pages. But what I do use, is new this year, is a student reading list. So my kids, now that they're getting older, they're reading so much better and they're reading so many more books. I like to just track that down. So I have a list just in case anybody ever asks me. They can see all of the different books my kids have read. So like in this area here, I'm just going to put Nehemiah and all of the different titles that he reads by himself throughout the year. And that way it's just a good track of what he's done. So I do have the student reading list this year. And then I have a family read aloud section. Any of the books that I'm reading aloud to my kids, I want to start tracking them. So I did this year. Oh yeah, and here I have you can put your term, the date the book was started, and the date it was completed. And the same for the family read alouds. You would just put the title, author, the term, date started, date completed. And that should just give you some great records to keep for the school year. Now, one thing I didn't add this year was the student reader chart. I know some people were using it, some people weren't. There's a little bit of confusion with it. So I didn't do it this year, pretty much too because my son, they've just really developed and they're become really, a lot better readers. But I just wanted to say, if you want to have that one page, if you're a returning customer and you liked that page, let me know because maybe I need to add it back in, and that wouldn't be hard to do. So I just want to throw that out there. So let's just keep on moving on. These are now our term pages, and I kind of changed the format just a little bit. Now, what I love about this new year is wherever you see header areas, so like here is the recitation area. Let me see if I did that for this one. No, I didn't. Okay, so that one, I'll get to that section in a bit. Sorry, guys. I have the headers here. That you wouldn't be changing. So in this area, so like recitation, I can have poetry. You'll put your different poetry recitations for the term. So you'll go, if you're doing Shakespeare, if you're doing any of your different recitation pieces, are going to go here, and you have the option of putting in what is what you need for your family. Same with singing, the different songs. So this would be like folk songs, and this would be, hymn, Spanish, and then you would just put the different pieces. Okay. And then over here where it's poet study, this is the poet you're studying for the term, the composer you're studying for the term, the picture study you're studying for your term. If you are, if your kids are Form 2 and higher and you are doing Shakespeare, then you can put that in here, Shakespeare, and you can put the play that you guys are doing. If you're doing Plutarch, you can put Plutarch in here, and you can do the life that you guys are doing, okay? So that's totally up to you, but you have a few areas to customize it for your kids and your family. So this would be term 1, and then term 2, and term 3. So it's pretty much all the same, and it works just the same. Now, I loved having this. Last year was the first year I had the weekly overview, and this is just to be printed off. But I loved having this because after every single week, I was able to print this page off, write some of the things that we were going through during the week, like, hey, in geography, we're going to need to work on some new maps, or I need different map works, make sure to print those out, or even just, with different issues we're having. I'm just thinking mathematics. Hey, I'm just found out that it's a good thing that we've kind of backed up in math and we started the Charlotte Mason, and, Ezekiel is now really starting to understand, and his multiplication facts. And so these are all different kind of things I'm able to put in my weekly overview, and it allows me to come back to it in the beginning of the week and then to make the improvements for the next week. So I loved having this. So I used it all year long, and I'm still using it to just kind of track our weeks, what we need to work on, adding things that I need, things like that. So I really encourage you to kind of start doing that, because it really helps kind of allowing you to see what your week looks like, and progress, things that you need to work on and things like that. So this year, term overview. Yeah, I think this was new this year. I thought it would be a really cool thing to, after a term, to be able to have this page, write it out, print it off, and just really write down some of just the overview of our term. So I added that this year. And then, of course, I just have a notes page just for you moms that just want to be able to write some notes whenever you want. And I added just a little bit of scripture right here where it says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." And that's in Lamentations. And that's just a scripture that I really needed to hear this year a lot. And so, schooling is just so hard sometimes, and we can be so hard on ourselves as moms, thinking we're not doing it all right, thinking that, you're not wanting to fail your kids. And it's just that remembrance that the Lord, his love never ends, and that his mercies are new every single morning. So every single morning we just know that we can just start anew, start fresh, and that we don't have to condemn ourselves or look back. So I just thought that was just a sweet scripture to add into that notes section. And then here we have our afternoon occupations. And here is where it's all blank. So in the areas where you're going to have a page that's completely blank, I want you to know, first of all, you can hover on these sections, and you're going to see a note. And that's just going to help you know what's supposed to go in that cell, in that area. But up here, so it says day of the week. What's super cool is this is a title. I have now created it where you can actually change the font, whatever fonts are on your computer. So you need to make sure that your computer's loaded with some fonts. But you can change the font and font size. Now, on a Mac, all I have to do is click in that cell and hit Command E. And when I hit Command E, I get this tab that says Form Field Text Properties. Okay. So now it says size 12, but it gives me all of the different fonts that are on my computer. So let's just try to do something that's kind of fun. Okay, you need to make sure that it's licensed. So that one must not have been licensed. Let me see here. Not really. There we go. Okay, so I'll just do Monday. And you can tell it's a different font, and it's fun, and I can change the size of it, and that's probably too big. So let's go to 24, and I can center it. So you have complete control of your title areas. Okay, so you can do that all the way down the line. Now, for this page right here, so I'm just going to close this off. For afternoon occupations, okay, so this would be Monday, Tuesday. See what happens if you don't change the font? It's just going to look just like that. But it's not a big deal either. But I just thought it was cool that you guys can now adjust the fonts and the type sizes in any of the header areas. So this would be like Nehemiah, and this is Ezekiel, and this would be Elizabeth. Okay, and so in here, his Monday afternoon occupations are generally reading. He needs to do his piano. And I'm just going to kind of skip a line. And then it's his cooking day. Okay, so, if you print off this page and you have all of their occupations for the week, then your students can track it. So if you have it laminated and put up somewhere in your kitchen or something, then they can just right here on this area, they can check it. Check, 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 done. So that's just kind of the way this was meant to work. Now, you can use it any way that you like, but this is what's worked for us. And I think a lot of people have enjoyed this place. So you have space here for 4 students and for putting their afternoon occupations. Now, in the areas that are not headers, like over here or on the names of your kids, these you cannot change the text or font. I mean, that would just take so much time anyways. So the only place where to change your font and your font size is up on the header areas, okay? So up on this side, up horizontally, and then vertically across the top. So that would be afternoon occupations. And then we have our exam questions. So, this is kind of self-explanatory, history. And again, this is a header area over here. So let's decline that. Sorry, guys. This is our history area over here. So, this is our header areas. So here, I can do again the Command E, and I can again pick a different font, pick the font size. I can center that. Any of these things I want to do in the header area. In the header areas. Yeah, that's correct. Now over here is where I would start to put in my questions. So number 1, let's see, what was the Emancipation Proclamation? Okay, you can tell we were really doing Civil War this year. So this is just kind of where you would go down, and this area here is multiple lines, so you can go ahead and put your different questions in that area. So that would be your exam questions. And then you have an exam overview. So after your exam, how did it go? Write it all down after your day, and just so that it give you an idea of what do you think that subject went? Were the books, how did they answer their questions? Does it seem like maybe we need to change a textbook, or those kind of questions? But it really just helps to write out all of your thoughts after an exam. And then we have our weekly notes, and this is kind of habits we're working on, items, books needed, appointments, errands to run, field nature trips, books read this week. Now, this weekly notes, these are headers that I use. I got to be honest, I don't use these pages all the time, but I do every once in a while. So it's up to you, but I have the exact same weekly notes without header titles. These header titles work just the same way as headers, okay? So Command E, I believe on a PC it's Control E. So Command E is a Macintosh, and I believe PC is Control E. So I hit Command E, and I can again put the different font face I want, the text size, and then I can center it any way I want to, align it any way I want to. Okay, so this gives you the opportunity to just put in your own headers for whatever you want to put in these boxes as your weekly notes. Okay, so one's with them already in there and one without. And then our mother culture pages here, I changed a little bit up because, really the mother culture page is just about kind of the books we're reading, and I just thought this might be a good area to track what you're reading throughout the school year. I love this quote. This was in one of the PNEU articles, I believe, and it was the wisest woman I ever knew, the best wife, the best mother, the best mistress, the best friend, told me once when I asked her how, with her weak health and many calls upon her time, she managed to read so much. I always keep 3 books going, a stiff book, a moderately easy book, and a novel. And I always take up the one I feel fit for. So, those are just kind of, I think, as far as what we think of mother culture, different books that we have that we're constantly always filling ourselves with living ideas also that we may grow and as well. So, education is a life, and that means for the mother as well. So here's your mother culture page. And then after that, you're going to have all of this, the calendar pages for each month. So here we have July, and for every single month, I put a different quote by John Muir. So I thought you would enjoy that. So there's July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, and July. Oops, no, it ends on June. Sorry, it starts in July. So that's going to be one of your PDFs that you get when you purchase the planner. And then after that are our lesson plans. So these are our lesson plan pages. Okay, so this year when you get your lesson plan, it's going to be a separate document. Now, just like last year, I have a variety of different lesson plan pages for you to use. So I have a weekly family schedule. So this is for family and independent work. Okay, so the first one is, and if you hover, you'll see the different notes above, and that just kind of helps you, know what needs to be in that cell. So it has those little pop-ups. Now, this page is supposed to be, your forms, your term, and your academic year. So here I would put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, and just like all of our other header areas, Command E or Control E, and you're going to get the form field text properties. Okay, and that's going to allow you to do that up yourself however you want to. Now over here, these are, okay, so let's see, family studies. Yeah, so this is family studies. So Monday, Bible, hymn. Let's just pretend we have hymn that day. Let's pretend we have recitation this day, and we have folks. No, we would have hymn. Okay, but you get the picture. This is where you would put all of your family studies, just kind of in this area. So this is what we're doing Monday as a family. This is what we're doing Tuesday as a family, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now in here is independence. Oops. Or mother guided work. Okay, and over here in this column, this is where I can put my kids' names. So I'll just start with Nehemiah. And so maybe here he has math. Here he has literature and, literature and, let's just think of history. And that's probably, let's just say he had ancient history on that day. That makes more sense. Okay, so then I'll just go down here after Nehemiah, and I will put Ezekiel. And Ezekiel has math, and he has English history. Okay, so this is just kind of how this page would work, and then Elizabeth. Okay, and so this just gives me an idea, seeing it kind of in one place, what we're doing as a family and what each child has to do independently or with my help. And just to remember, you can, all of these header areas, even this area right here, I should be able to Command E it and then change all of this. I can highlight it, change this to, something that works. I don't even know what chalk duster is, but as you can see, it's just fun because you have the capability to make that any way you see fit, and it just kind of makes it a little bit neater. So anything that is a header, you can change the font and change the typeface, okay? So this is just kind of our weekly schedule. If we move on, We then have a weekly lesson plan. Now, the first weekly lesson plan is a 2-page spread. So here's our 2-page spread. This would be right here, and if you hover, you'll see the note. So this would be day of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, and I would put whatever subjects I want to put on there, however you'd want to do this weekly lesson plan, okay? This is right here would be approximate time. Oops. Approximate time. So let's just put time. There we go. Okay, so here, if you're starting at 8:30 a.m., then you can put however you want to do this as a weekly lesson plan. And it just probably gives you an overview of the entire week. I don't use weekly lesson plans, but a lot of people wanted them and a lot of people like these. So however you see fit to use these, use them. But I have one as a 2-page spread. And then I have one as a horizontal 1-page. So you can have your weekly lesson plan Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, your times and all of your different subjects, because this would just say subjects and whatever subjects you're doing during that time. This is what you would have for 1 page, or you can have a 2-pager, okay? Now remember too, if they're a header, Command E, Control E, and you can change that. So then after that, we have a daily lesson plan, 1 student. So daily lesson plans are what I use. If you have 1 student, here's where you would have, time, and these are my headers. So this would be the student name. Now here is what I always put, subject and work completed. This is how I do it, but you can do this any way you want. Remember, if it's a header, you can go ahead and Command E it, and you can change the header and the typeface or whatever you want to do. And so then here we would start at 8:30. Okay, and so maybe our first subject is Bible, and after that we usually do poetry. So under work completed, I write this in. I don't type it in because I'm not going to know exactly for sure where we're going to end in Bible or poetry, maybe what poem we went over. But after we're actually done with Bible, after we're done, then I will write down, like I know today we were in Luke 6, verses 12 through 26, I believe. Okay, so I would write this after we finish Bible. And here you would put your term, day of the week, date, and week. And you just kind of go down all of your different times. If it's 8:30, that's going to take 20 minutes right there. So then we were at 8:50 a.m. What's next? So you just go ahead and put in all of your different subjects that you're doing for the day. I have an area which I love. I put these notes in last year. But every day, I add a little bit of notes of what's going on, what happened. Did something go wrong? Were some of the kids not really focused enough? Their attention span was off. I get to track just kind of our day and how that went. And then in this area, you can put in whatever you want. You can leave it blank and just have some extra space, or you can just title that. Notes, or you might want to put scripture or anything else. The cool thing about this box is I also have it set so that you can use this form field. So, if I wanted it to say notes or whatever, let's try something else. Chalk duster worked last time, so, and I can make it bigger. So now it says notes. And now I can put it back to just a regular Helvetica and drop it back down to maybe 10. And now I can just, type notes in here if I wanted to. But you can just put notes as your header and leave it blank and print it off. And then you can just, write in there as you're done with your day. So anyways, this is for a 1-person lesson plan. Now, what's cool is I do have 5 of the exact same pages, which means that you can have this for fill this out for your Monday through Friday, or if you work on a day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. But, I have these usually all put together per term. So for the first term, I will make sure this is completed. Then I'll go to day 2, day of the week, Tuesday. I'll make sure this day is completed the next day. So that way I'm printing off 5 of my days. I throw them right into my planner. And every day I can just flip to the next page and we know all of our subjects we need to get done, the timetable is there. And then I'm just filling in work completed as we go through the day. So that would be 5 days for one student. And then we have 2 students. So it works exactly the same way. For 2 students, you have 2 options. This is one without notes. And then we have one with notes. So you have a little area here for notes if you want 2 students, if you want the notes. But if you can tell your chart kind of got smaller, so maybe you want to work with a larger chart, you can. Then we have, so you have 5 pages for that. Then we have a daily lesson plan for 3 students. Now, when we get to 3 students, it is a 2-page spread. So for myself, I used a 2-inch binder, and it worked fine. I have everything in there. It worked great. So here we have for one student, so this would be like Nehemiah, Ezekiel, and this is, what is that? Yeah, subject, and I should show you my planner too, work completed, which I might just do that so that you guys can see kind of like how that works. But so then here, would be 8:30 a.m. and all your times and all of your subjects. So this would be 1 student, 2 students, and then down here would be your 3rd student, Elizabeth, okay? And then you have your area for notes, which I loved. You have that same extra area of a header if you want to put it in there, or however you want to use that space. Command E or Control E will allow you to be flexible with the fonts and the typeface, and the typeface and the type size. So that's for 3 students. So you have your 1 page, 2, that would be Tuesday, Wednesday, here's Thursday, and then we have Friday. Okay, so 5 days for each of the different lesson plans. Then we have 4 students. 4 students is a 2-page spread also. So you have 1 student here, 2 students, 3 students, 4 students, okay? So after 4 students, there are many homeschoolers that have 5, 6, and even more students. But for the sake of this, so here's what I did for if you have more students, okay? So for 5 to 6 students, you'll want to use the 3-student 2-page spread. Now let me share with you how that would work, okay? So we'll trek back over here to where it's, that's 2 students. Let's go back to where it's 3 students, 2-page spread. So instead of here having Nehemiah, having Ezekiel, and having Elizabeth, what we'll do is we would have child 1, child 2, child 3, oops, you get the picture, child 4, okay, then you'll have child 5 and child 6. So you would have all of your children in separate rows like this. And so then what you would do is you really wouldn't have that work completed section. You'll probably just, Bible, and, maybe just put a note to the side or just check off, which will probably be the easiest thing to do if you have that many children. So this would be one option. Or else, if you wanted to, you would just do, 2-page, instead of a 2-page spread, you can have 4 pages. And of course, you would just kind of go back to printing this page off twice per day. So child 1, child 2, child 3, then print it off again, child 4, child 5, child 6. I just thought it made more sense and would be more simplified and less paper if you just use this format and put your children here down below. And that will allow you to keep just a 2-page spread and have all your kids side by side, which I would personally rather do. So that would be for 5 to 6 kids. Now if you have 7 to 8 kids, then use the 4 student 2-page spread. So here's a 4 student 2-page spread. You do it the same way. Child 1, child 2, child 3, child 4, child 5, child 6, child 7, child 8. Okay? I don't know if many of you are probably like, 8 kids? What? Who has that? And let me tell you, a lot of my friends have, as you get older, a lot of my friends have many children. So I can see people needing to use this. So, 1 student here, 2 students here, and then you'd have a beautiful 2-page spread, super simple, easy way to get all of them together side by side, and you can visually see what they're doing every single day. So that would be for 7 to 8 kids. So hopefully this helps you understand how to use these lesson plan pages. If you do have questions, hey, I didn't get that, this isn't, how do you do that? Don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can always contact me at diana@myhumblekitchen.com, and I'll try to get back to you within a day, sometimes 2, so a day or 2. But definitely reach out if you have a different question, okay? So then we have our weekly schedule for our schedule cards. Now, I didn't create this using the same theme as this year simply because I'm not sure how many people are using this. And so I kind of, for next year, so not this year, but for next year, I'm going to go ahead and throw out another questionnaire, which should help me kind of understand if you are using this. I do use this, but I don't use it with the editable regions. I find it easier to use by printing it off, and then as I lay out my schedule cards on the floor, I can then go ahead and print it, just write it right in, and it just kind of helps get my initial schedule all together. So this is pretty much to use. It's in 10-minute increments. This is for 1 student, so this would be Monday, Tuesday, and so this would be 1 student, Nehemiah, okay? So you'll just go ahead and put in all of their different classes. Now you can use this as your actual weekly lesson plan, which I think some people are using it as that. So you can use that, but this was built to be able to kind of write down all of your schedule. When you put all your scheduling cards off, it's meant to kind of transfer that information into a written document so that you can then start planning your daily lesson plans. But if this works for you as just, your weekly lesson plans, then go for it. But this would be for 1 student, and then here we have for 2 students. So this would be Monday, Nehemiah, and then just put Ezekiel. And this would be Tuesday, Nehemiah, Ezekiel. Okay, so that's Monday, Tuesday, and then we would have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 student, 2 student, 1 student, 2 student. Okay, then this would be for 3 students. So Monday, so I would have Nehemiah, Ezekiel, and Elizabeth. Nehemiah, Ezekiel, and Elizabeth. And this would be Tuesday. Okay, so this would be for 3 students. And then this would be for 4 students. If you have more students than that, then yeah, you're probably, since it's just meant to kind of take the information from your scheduling cards, and I would just, repeat, if you have 6 students, I would take the 3 student page and just print that off twice. And that way you'll have, enough to fill in all of your students' pages. Their schedules. So these are the weekly schedules to coincide with the scheduling cards. But of course, if this is what you want to use for your weekly lesson plans or something like that, then you are, go for it. But I really did find this useful for me. at the very beginning of my lesson planning, when I'm setting up, when I get my consult back and I'm setting out all of my scheduling cards, trying to figure out my days, and then I can easily take all of that information and write it in. So for me, I just print it off and I write in exactly what I'm seeing on the ground, all the scheduling cards on the ground. I write it in into this scheduling page. Okay, so hopefully that should help you with that. And that pretty much wraps up this year's academic 2019-2020 academic school year. So if you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out. I am planning on making one more wall art. It's going to be the I am, I can, I ought, and I will. And it's going to be a beautiful piece. So anyone who buys this planner for the school year will get that as a free bonus. I haven't released what that looks like yet, but I'm super excited about it, and I'm really hoping it's one that you'll want to print off and kind of hang up on your wall. But you will get that soon. So that's going to be a bonus. And yeah, that's about it. So again, this is the Our Living Homeschool Charlotte Mason Homeschool Planner. And I hope you like what you've seen. I've put a lot of thought and time and effort into these homeschool plans, but it's only because I am in the trenches right there with you. I am homeschooling my kids, doing the exact same thing you guys are. So if you have any questions, of course, reach out. Follow me on Instagram. It's my.humble.kitchen.com. I also have an Instagram community. It's Instagram.com, and it's A Living Education. So if you go to A Living Education, you will find a community there of over 1,500 people now that we're just kind of all homeschooling together, and I get to share about the progress of the planner. But if you have any other questions, again, feel free. But thanks so much for spending this time with me and taking the time. Anyways, thanks so much, and God bless, guys.